If I drip on you, it's your fault, whispered the alien woman fresh from the tank. The spaceship drifted silently through the dark, empty stretch of space, its metal hull groaning as it adjusted to the cold vacuum outside. Inside the abandoned corridors, light flickered faintly, casting long shadows that danced along the walls. The air smelled faintly of ozone and metal, and every small sound seemed louder than it should be. Commander Jalen moved carefully, his boots making soft thuds against the metal floor. He had explored many derelict ships before, but something about this one felt different, strange, almost alive. His heart beat faster, not from fear alone, but from curiosity that had driven humans to the stars for centuries. He reached a large chamber at the center of the ship, a room that looked like a laboratory. In the middle of the room stood a tall, transparent tank filled with a glowing green liquid. Tubes and wires connected it to the walls, pulsing softly with energy. Jalen stepped closer, examining the strange markings etched on the tank. He could barely make out the shapes, symbols that seemed both alien and familiar. As he leaned in, he noticed movement inside the liquid, a shadow shifting slowly, almost like it was aware of him. Then the figure inside stirred, a soft ripple running across the surface. Jalen stepped back instinctively, his hand brushing against the wall for support. The shadow began to rise, a form emerging from the green glow. Humanoid, but not quite human, slender and tall, with eyes that glimmered like liquid silver. The figure pushed against the glass, and the liquid began to drain rapidly, swirling around it like a storm. Jalen watched, frozen, as the alien climbed out of the tank with surprising grace, dripping wet, the green liquid sizzling as it touched the floor. "If I drip on you, it's your fault," the alien said, voice smooth but sharp, words rolling out like a challenge. Jalen blinked, unsure if he should be afraid or amazed. The alien's hair hung in wet strands, framing a face that was both beautiful and terrifying. With a gaze that seemed to pierce his thoughts, Jalen swallowed hard, his mind racing. How had it survived in this tank for so long? Why was it here? And most importantly, was it friendly? Or was he about to become its next victim? He took a cautious step forward. I'm Jalen, commander of the survey team. "I didn't mean to wake you," he said, keeping his hands visible, trying to show he was not a threat. The alien tilted its head, studying him silently, the liquid dripping from its body onto the floor, leaving sizzling trails. The silence stretched for a long moment, broken only by the hum of the spaceship's failing systems. Then the alien stepped closer, eyes narrowing slightly. "You humans are always so clumsy," it said, dripping again on the floor near Jalen, who jumped back, avoiding the sizzling puddle. Jalen's heart pounded, but he forced himself to stay calm. He had faced dangers before, but never like this, a being from a completely different world, awakening in front of him. It was like looking at a creature from a dream or a nightmare, and yet it was real, terrifyingly real. He tried to speak again. What are you? Why are you here?" The alien shrugged lightly, droplets falling like tiny emeralds. "I am not your enemy, yet," it said, almost casually. "But I do not like surprises." Jalen realized he had to act carefully, his brain working faster than ever. If he panicked, he could die. If he stayed calm, maybe he could survive, maybe even learn something extraordinary, something humans had dreamed of for centuries. First contact with an alien life form. As he took another careful step forward, he glanced at the strange console next to the tank, blinking with light. Maybe it held answers. Maybe it was another trap. He didn't know, but he had to find out, and fast. The alien's eyes followed him, curious now, but cautious, its fingers twitching, dripping more green liquid. "You humans are interesting," it said softly, almost a whisper. "Curious and reckless. Always curious, always in trouble. Jalen nodded slowly, trying to keep his voice steady. We've always been explorers, he said, always searching for something new, something unknown. The alien studied him for a moment longer, then gave a small, almost imperceptible nod. A soft, mechanical voice echoed through the chamber, announcing a warning. Life support failing. Emergency protocols active. The alien's eyes flicked toward the console, and Jalen realized they had even less time than he thought. As the hum of the spaceship grew louder, Jalen turned toward the audience in a moment of calm in the chaos. If you want to see what happens next, don't forget to subscribe and join us for the adventure ahead, he said gently, a small smile breaking through his fear. The alien took a step closer, and the chamber lights flickered, leaving them both in partial shadow, dripping liquid sizzling on the floor, creating an eerie, mesmerizing pattern. Jalen held his breath, unsure what would happen next, and the story of their encounter had only just begun. The alien's silver eyes followed Jalen as he stepped back cautiously, his mind racing faster than his heartbeat. Every instinct screamed at him to run, but curiosity held him in place. Curiosity that had always driven humans to explore the unknown. The chamber was silent except for the hum of the failing life support systems, the hiss of the dripping green liquid, and the occasional creak of the ship settling into the empty void of space. Jalen swallowed hard and tried to focus, remembering his training, remember calm, remember observation. The alien spoke again, its voice smooth but tinged with amusement. You stare too much, human. It makes me uneasy. And I do not like being uneasy. Jalen blinked, taken aback. It was speaking perfect basic, but the tone was strange, almost musical, almost alien. I don't mean to make you uneasy, Jalen stammered, keeping his hands visible. I need to understand what you are, why you are here. The alien tilted its head, wet hair falling over its glowing shoulders, and studied him silently, almost as if weighing his soul. A sudden loud clatter made them both jump, a metal panel falling from the wall, sparks flying from exposed wires. The ship shuddered violently, as though it had shivered awake from a long sleep. Jalen realized they were not alone. The systems were unstable, and the danger was growing. The alien hissed softly, a sound like a whispering wind through broken glass. This place is unstable, dangerous. You humans do not belong here. It moved past him, agile and fluid, scanning the control panels and wires, fingertips brushing over buttons and levers, leaving faint green streaks behind. Jalen hesitated, then followed, feeling the weight of both fear and fascination pressing on his chest. We could work together, he suggested cautiously. I can help, maybe fix the systems, get us out of here safely. The alien paused, looking back at him, eyes narrowing thoughtfully. You can help, it said slowly, if you are clever enough. If not, you will die. The words hung in the air like a blade, sharp and cold, yet there was a spark of challenge in them, something that called to Jalen's sense of pride and skill. As he stepped closer to the control panel, he noticed strange symbols flashing on the screens, ones that didn't match any human language he had seen. They pulsed in rhythm with the alien's heartbeat, or maybe the ship itself, a silent code waiting to be understood. Suddenly, a low rumble ran through the floor, vibrating up his legs. The alien's eyes widened slightly, scanning the walls and ceiling. Automated defenses, it whispered. They still guard this place. We must move carefully. Jalen's pulse quickened, his fingers hovering over the unfamiliar controls, trying to remember everything he learned in simulations back on Earth. A panel near them opened suddenly, and a small drone emerged, glowing red eyes scanning the room, mechanical arms extending with sharp precision. Jalen ducked instinctively, but the alien was faster, stepping in front of him, a thin wave of green energy emanating from its hand, stopping the drone mid-air. Jalen gasped, amazed and terrified. You can control them?" he asked, barely above a whisper. The alien shrugged lightly. "I can control some things. Not all. This ship has been asleep for a long time. Some parts are hostile, and some are neutral." Its gaze flicked toward him, a faint smirk curling the edges of its mouth. The drone struggled for a moment, then fell silent, deactivated, leaving a faint smell of ozone in the air. Jalen realized just how vulnerable he had been, and how powerful this being really was. It was beautiful, dangerous, and completely unpredictable, a creature out of legend and human imagination. "Listen," the alien said, voice sharp now. "If you follow me, do exactly as I say. One mistake, and the ship will kill us both. Do you understand?" Jalen nodded without hesitation, his mind racing. He had been trained for danger, but nothing could have prepared him for this. Nothing except his human ingenuity, the same spark that had carried humanity to the stars. Together, they moved through the ship's corridors, avoiding flickering lights and malfunctioning panels, each step a careful dance with danger. Jalen noticed more of the ship's defenses activating, metal spikes extending from walls, automated turrets swiveling slowly, scanning for intruders. The alien paused suddenly, pressing its hand against a wall, and the spikes retracted immediately, its green energy leaving a faint trail in the air. Jalen followed, awed and grateful, yet the tension remained, a constant pulse of suspense running through the ship. "Why are you helping me?" he asked cautiously, curiosity burning stronger than fear. The alien glanced at him, wet hair clinging to its face. "Because if we do not survive together, I will die. And I do not wish to die yet," it said simply, almost human in its honesty. A sudden alarm blared through the ship, red lights flashing. The life support systems were failing faster than before, the corridors growing hotter, smoke curling from damaged vents. Jalen realized they had only minutes before the ship became a death trap. The alien's silver eyes met his, and for the first time, Jalen felt a strange connection, a silent understanding that they were now partners in survival, both creatures, human and alien, relying on each other to face the unknown dangers lurking in the ship's depths. As they approached a massive door leading to the ship's central core, the alien whispered, "Stay close. What awaits inside will test everything you think you know." Jalen's stomach tightened, and he nodded, his hand hovering near his sidearm, ready for anything. And in that moment, the spaceship seemed alive, creaking and groaning as if it too knew that something extraordinary had awakened within its walls, something that could change the fate of a human and an alien, and perhaps the course of the galaxy itself. The massive door groaned as Jalen and the alien pushed it open, a hiss of released air and sparks filling the corridor. The central core beyond was unlike anything Jalen had ever imagined. Towering structures of metal and glass twisted upward like frozen lightning, pulsing with eerie green and blue lights. The alien's silver eyes scanned the room, its body dripping faint green trails. "This is the heart of the ship," it said softly, voice echoing in the vast chamber. "If we fail here, we die instantly." Jalen swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the words settle over him. He stepped cautiously, boots clanging against metal grates, noticing the floor beneath was partially broken, wires sparking dangerously. Why was this place abandoned? He asked quietly, trying not to draw attention to himself. The alien's gaze flicked toward him, sharp and unreadable. It was not abandoned. It was left dormant, it said, cryptic and brief. Before Jalen could ask more, a deep rumble shook the floor, dust falling from the ceiling, and a shadow moved along the walls, shifting faster than human eyes could follow. He froze, heart pounding. The alien tensed, muscles coiled like a predator, ready to strike. "Stay close," it hissed, green droplets dripping from its fingers, sizzling against the floor. The shadows revealed themselves as robotic sentries, massive machines with spiked limbs and glowing red sensors, programmed to defend the ship from intruders. Their movements were precise, calculated, unstoppable unless faced carefully. Jalen realized that alone, he would be dead in seconds. Yet next to the alien, he felt a strange sense of hope, a spark of human ingenuity combined with alien ability. "We fight together," he said firmly, and the alien's eyes gleamed. "We fight together," it echoed, voice like a silver knife cutting through the air. The first sentry lunged, metal arms winging like wrecking balls. The alien moved in a blur, striking with fluid precision. Green energy lashing out, short-circuiting the sentry instantly. Sparks flew and the smell of burnt ozone filled the chamber. Jalen ducked, grabbed a nearby control panel and slammed buttons at random, trying to activate the defense override. Another sentry approached, its glowing eyes locking onto them. Jalen realized he had only one chance. He yanked a nearby metal rod and swung, hitting the machine's exposed joints. The alien leaped beside him, striking with a hand crackling green energy, sending the sentry crashing into a metal wall. They moved quickly, dodging sparks and metal limbs, adrenaline pushing Jalen beyond his limits. He realized he was thinking faster, reacting faster than he ever had, a human driven by fear, necessity, and determination. HFY at its purest, survival through creativity and courage. The alien's eyes softened briefly, and for a moment Jalen saw vulnerability, a strange mixture of alien pride and desperation. It whispered, "You humans are strange creatures, weak yet clever, frightened yet brave." Jalen nodded, panting. "We survive. That is what humans do," he replied. And the alien let out a short laugh, almost a whisper, almost musical. Suddenly, a massive alarm rang through the chamber, red lights flashing violently. The sentries had activated a secondary defense protocol, and a high-pitched hum filled the air. Metal walls starting to collapse inward. They had minutes, maybe seconds, before the room became a tomb. "We need to the upper maintenance hatch," the alien shouted, voice urgent, dripping green energy sizzling as it ran ahead. Jalen followed, leaping over broken panels, narrowly avoiding sparks and falling debris. Every step felt like a gamble with death, and yet he could not stop, he could not hesitate. Reaching the hatch, Jalen tried to open it, but it was locked, ancient alien symbols glowing faintly on its surface. Panic threatened to overtake him, but the alien placed its hand on the panel, energy flowing from its fingers into the lock. The hatch hissed and slid open, revealing a narrow shaft leading upward. "Quickly," the alien urged. "Before more come." Jalen followed, climbing the tight space, hands scraping against rough metal, sweat and fear mixing. Green light from the alien above illuminated the shaft, a guiding beacon in the chaos. They reached the top and collapsed against the wall, catching their breath. But the sound of distant mechanical steps reminded them the threat was far from over. Jalen looked at the alien, panting, heart racing. We make a good team," he said. And the alien's silver eyes glimmered with faint approval. "Yes," it said softly, "for now. But trust is fragile, human. One mistake, one hesitation, and everything dies." Jalen nodded solemnly, realizing the truth in those words. He had never faced a situation like this, never relied so completely on another being, yet he knew this partnership was the only way to survive. As they moved down the corridor toward the ship's control hub, shadows lengthening around them, the hum of the life support systems growing louder, Jalen felt a strange thrill, the mix of fear and exhilaration. They were alive, against impossible odds, fighting together, and the adventure had only just begun. In that moment, he understood something important, something that humans had always known deep in their hearts. Strength did not come from weapons or machines, but from courage, creativity, and the ability to trust even the unlikeliest of allies. And in the dark, pulsing corridors of the alien ship, a human and an alien forged a bond through fire and danger, ready to face whatever horrors the ship had left. Awake, the stakes were higher than ever, and their story, fragile and dangerous, was only beginning. Jalen and the alien moved cautiously down the narrow corridor, the flickering lights casting long shadows on the walls. Each step echoed loudly, making the ship feel alive, as if it were watching them, listening to their every move. The alien silver eyes scanned the panels along the walls, fingertips brushing them occasionally, leaving faint green streaks. "This ship holds secrets," it said softly, almost a whisper. "Secrets that some would kill to protect, and others would die to uncover." Jalen swallowed hard, curiosity mixing with fear. He followed silently, noticing the faint hum of the ship's systems, pulsing like a heartbeat. It seemed as though the very walls were alive, breathing, waiting for them to discover what had been buried for centuries. They reached a large chamber, unlike anything Jalen had seen, filled with glass tubes and suspended alien forms, long dormant and frozen in green liquid. Some of them looked similar to the alien standing beside him, but smaller, weaker, almost fragile. What is this place?" Jalen asked quietly, awe and dread mixing in his voice. The alien stepped forward, gaze fixed on the rows of tanks. "These are my kin, my species," it said softly, voice trembling slightly. "We were captured, experimented on, and placed in stasis. Many never woke, until now." Jalen's heart sank at the thought, the scale of the horror before him dawning slowly. Humans often imagined alien species as either threats or myths. But this was real, and it was tragic. You were alone in that tank?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. The alien nodded, a droplet of green liquid dripping from its hand, sizzling faintly as it hit the floor. "Alone. For decades. And yet, I survived. I learned. I watched. I waited." Its gaze met Jalen's, a mixture of pride and sorrow shining in silver eyes. Jalen realized the strength in front of him was more than physical. It was mental, emotional, a resilience born from suffering. From that moment he understood the HFY truth. Humans were not the only species capable of endurance, creativity, and survival, and yet the alien had survived where most would have failed. Suddenly, a low vibration ran through the floor, shaking dust from the ceiling. The ship reacted to their presence, defensive systems activating, spikes shooting from the walls, metal panels clanging down, blocking their exit. Jalen grabbed the alien's arm instinctively, and it turned, eyes narrowing. "We are not alone," it hissed, dripping green energy that sizzled against the floor. A group of humanoid drones emerged from hidden compartments, their movements precise, coordinated, hunting intruders. "Run!" the alien shouted, pulling Jalen behind a thick metal pillar. Its hands glowed as it struck one of the drones, sending sparks flying. "They guard the secrets. We must not let them stop us." Jalen nodded, adrenaline surging through his veins, moving faster, thinking faster, every instinct screaming survival. They darted between cover and collapsing walls, dodging the drone's mechanical claws. Jalen grabbed a fallen pipe, swinging it to knock a drone off balance. The alien struck with green energy again, and together they made their way deeper into the chamber. At the far end, a massive console lit up as they approached, alien symbols dancing across the screens, some familiar, some completely unknown. The alien placed its hand on the controls, energy flowing through the panel, and slowly, the logs of the ship began to display. Images, text, and recordings filled the room, telling the story of the alien species captured by a hostile galactic federation, experimented on for centuries and left in stasis to prevent rebellion. They feared us, the alien whispered, feared our strength, our mind, our resilience. Jalen's eyes widened. Realizing the scale of the conflict, humans often thought they were the strongest, the cleverest, but this species had endured trials beyond imagination. And yet, here they were, alive, defiant, waiting for someone to awaken them. A sudden alarm blared through the chamber, red lights flashing violently. The secondary security system had activated, and more drones poured in from the shadows, relentless, precise, deadly. Jalen grabbed the alien's arm again. "We have to move, now!" The alien nodded, eyes blazing silver. "Then we move, and no hesitation." They ran, leaping over wires, ducking under falling panels, and weaving through the chamber, each step a test of skill and nerve. As they reached the final console, the alien paused, placing a hand over the holographic projection of its homeworld, small and distant among the stars. This is what we fight for," it whispered, voice trembling. "To survive, to reclaim, to protect what remains." Jalen felt a strange respect and awe, not just for the alien, but for the power of endurance, creativity, and courage. The HFY spark burned in him, in both species, a reminder that survival was never passive. It was earned through strength, intelligence, and alliance. Behind them, the drones advanced, closer, more aggressive, and the chamber trembled with the ship's reaction. Their path forward was blocked by both machines and the remnants of the past. And yet, the alien looked at Jalen, silver eyes steady. "We survive. Together. Or we die." And in that tense, echoing chamber of alien history, secrets and danger, a human and an alien realized that the past, the present, and the future were intertwined, and that only by trusting each other could they hope to escape. The air in the central core chamber crackled with energy as Jalen and the alien paused, catching their breath. Sparks flew from damaged panels, and the ship groaned like a living thing, warning them of its unstable systems. Jalen's chest heaved as he tried to steady his mind, every nerve alert. "We can't stay here," the alien said, dripping green energy that hissed against the floor. "The ship will collapse if we linger. The escape pods are our only chance." Jalen nodded, swallowing hard, his hands shaking slightly from adrenaline, but his mind was sharp, calculating, thinking through every possible obstacle. He glanced at the control console, lights flashing warnings. "I can try to override the security protocols, reroute the life support, maybe buy us more time," he said, voice firm despite the chaos. The alien's silver eyes studied him for a moment, then nodded. "Do it, but move quickly. Hesitation is death." Jalen's fingers flew across the alien keyboard, pressing unfamiliar symbols and buttons, trying to decipher the alien interface. Sweat dripped down his forehead as sparks shot from exposed wires. The ship groaned and shook violently, as if resisting his intrusion into its systems. "Almost there," Jalen muttered, heart pounding. Come on. The alien placed a hand over his shoulder, energy flowing faintly, calming his nerves, or perhaps guiding him. "You are clever," it whispered. "Do not fail now." Suddenly, alarms blared again, more drones converging from the shadows, their red sensors glowing like predatory eyes. The alien leaped forward, hands crackling with green energy, striking with precision, sending sparks and pieces of metal flying. "Move!" it shouted, voice sharp, urgent. Jalen grabbed a thick metal pipe, swinging at the nearest drone, feeling the thrill of survival, the raw pulse of danger pushing him beyond fear. HFY at its core. Huma. And courage and ingenuity meeting alien power in perfect synchronization. A massive vent opened above them, revealing the shaft leading to the upper levels, their escape route. Jalen clambered in first, gripping the edges, pulling himself up as the alien followed, moving fluidly, dripping energy sizzling against the metal. Their ascent was slow, tense, every vibration of the ship threatening to collapse the shaft beneath them. "Halfway there," Jalen panted, muscles burning, adrenaline like fire in his veins. The alien's eyes scanned the corridor ahead, noticing more drones, more hazards. "We must split the attention," it hissed. "You draw them, I strike." Jalen hesitated, fear clashing with resolve, but nodded, understanding the plan instantly. He swung down a loose cable like a whip, striking a drone off balance, while the alien moved with deadly grace, energy lashing out, disabling another. The synergy was perfect, instinctive, survival born from necessity. The corridor ahead was blocked by a fallen ceiling panel, sparks raining down, the metal hot to the touch. "We go over!" the alien shouted, springing first, Jalen following, leaping just as the floor below shifted and cracked. The sound of metal tearing echoed through the ship, sending a shiver down his spine. They reached the upper maintenance deck, where the escape pods were housed, but a new horror awaited. The pods were locked, ancient alien seals glowing faintly. "It is not enough to reach them," the alien said grimly, placing a hand on the control panel, green energy flowing through it. "We must unlock them or die trying." Jalen watched, amazed, as alien power flowed through the system, lights flickering, locks releasing slowly. "Done," the alien said, voice sharp. But there was no relief yet. The drones were still coming, relentless, and the ship was shaking violently, threatening to collapse around T. Jalen and the alien ran toward the nearest pod, leaping over debris, dodging sparks, hearts racing. The pod's hatch hissed open, and they climbed inside, Jalen fumbling with the controls, trying to start the launch sequence. The alien placed a hand on his shoulder again, guiding his movements with silent precision, energy humming. Outside, the ship's hull groaned and twisted, alarms screaming, sparks flying in all directions. The drones lunged at the pod just as it began to rise. Jalen activated the launch, and with a violent jolt, the pod shot out into the void, narrowly avoiding destruction. Inside the pod, Jalen slumped against the wall, breathing hard, adrenaline still pumping. The alien collapsed beside him, dripping green energy still sizzling faintly, both of them exhausted but alive. The pod's internal systems hummed softly, stabilizing them as they floated into open space, away from the dying ship. Jalen looked at the alien, a mixture of awe and gratitude in his eyes. "We made it," he said, voice trembling slightly. "Thanks to you and us." The alien nodded slowly, eyes calm now. "Yes, for now, we survive. But there is more ahead." A soft vibration ran through the pod, sensors detecting something approaching, distant and massive. "We are not alone out here," the alien said, silver eyes narrowing, "and the galaxy is not done with us yet." Jalen realized that survival was just the beginning, that the HFY spark, The ingenuity, courage, and resilience of both human and alien was about to be tested further, far beyond anything they had imagined. As the pod drifted silently through the stars, Jalen felt a thrill unlike any other, the mixture of fear, hope, and determination. They had escaped the first danger, but the journey was far from over, and their story, fragile and uncertain, was only just beginning. The pod floated silently through the void, stars streaking past like shards of glass. Jalen leaned against the wall, exhaustion weighing heavily on his shoulders. But even in this moment of brief relief, he could feel tension humming in the air, subtle, sharp, like the edge of a knife. The alien sat beside him, silver eyes scanning every readout, green energy from its fingers still faintly sizzling on the metal surface. The ship's defenses were only the beginning, it said softly, voice calm but warning. What comes next may be worse. Jalen nodded, gripping a strap, heart pounding. Suddenly, a faint signal appeared on the pod's navigation console, a blinking light accompanied by an encrypted message. Jalen frowned, trying to decode it, but the alien's hand shot forward, brushing the console, energy pulsing faintly through the circuits. "Do not trust this," it warned, voice low. "It may be a trap." Before Jalen could respond, the pod jolted violently, sensors screaming, alarms blaring. The outer hull was being scanned by an unknown ship, massive and silent, cloaked partially in shadow. Its presence was overwhelming, oppressive, as if it weighed on their minds, as well as the metal hull. The message repeated, more urgent. "We know your location. Surrender or perish." Jalen's stomach dropped, but he forced himself to stay calm. "It could be an ally," he said cautiously. "Someone offering help." The alien's gaze sharpened, silver eyes glinting. "Humans are always hopeful, even when foolish," it replied, energy flickering from its fingertips. A sudden movement inside the pod made them both tense, and Jalen realized the signal was not external at all, but a disguised AI virus embedded in their pod systems, trying to take control. The alien struck the console with a surge of green energy, cutting the link instantly, sparks flying. Jalen breathed heavily, realizing just how close they had come to being hijacked. "It's never just physical danger," the alien said, voice grim. "Some threats hide inside the mind, inside the machine. Trust is fragile." Jalen nodded, every nerve alert, his human ingenuity racing to anticipate the next move. Then, a faint shimmer appeared on the pod's viewport, a figure materializing in the distance, unmistakably humanoid, wearing armor reminiscent of human space fleets, but sleek and alien. "It's a rescuer!" Jalen gasped, hope surging, but the alien's hand gripped his shoulder firmly. "Do not assume what you see," it warned, silver eyes narrow. The figure hailed them, voice calm and commanding. "Commander Jalen, we've been sent to extract you and your companion. Stand down, and you will survive." Jalen hesitated, torn between relief and instinct. The alien stepped forward, energy crackling around its fingers. "We do not negotiate with shadows that shine like friends," it said. Before anyone could act, the figure launched an energy pulse toward the pod, striking the outer hull with precision, sending sparks and metal shrapnel flying. Jalen slammed himself against the wall, breathing harshly. "It's a trap!" the alien shouted, leaping forward to shield him, green energy flaring. The pod rocked violently, systems failing, and Jalen realized that the so-called rescuer was an agent of the Galactic Federation that had captured the alien species, a mercenary sent to eliminate them both. "We cannot outrun this," he said, voice tight, fear and determination mixing. "We have to fight." The alien nodded, eyes blazing. "Then we fight. Together." They worked in perfect synergy, the alien disabling incoming projectiles with precision strikes, Jalen manipulating the pod's limited weapons and controls, firing at the cloaked enemy, each movement a test of skill, intuition, and trust. But the betrayal went deeper than they expected. The cloaked ship had managed to hack into part of the pod's system, overriding minor controls, forcing Jalen to improvise rapidly, rerouting power manually while dodging enemy attacks. HFY at its core, human ingenuity and courage facing impossible odds. "Hold on!" Jalen shouted, pulling a lever with all his strength, rerouting power to the engines, while the alien blasted the last of the cloaked ship's drones, sparks and green energy colliding violently, lighting up the pod like a storm. The ship trembled, alarms screaming, and then, with a violent shudder, the pod shot forward, narrowly evading the cloaked enemy, leaving behind a trail of debris and sparks in the void. Jalen slumped against the wall, gasping, heart hammering. The alien's silver eyes softened, but were still alert, energy still flickering faintly. "The galaxy is full of shadows," it said, voice low. "Some appear as allies, some as enemies. Survival is trust, but caution is survival." Jalen nodded slowly, feeling both awe and exhaustion. He realized something essential about their journey. Danger was not just physical, but mental, moral, and strategic. Survival demanded not only courage and skill, but awareness, vigilance, and the ability to act decisively in the face of betrayal, HFY at its purest. As they floated through the silent void, escaping the immediate threat, a new resolve burned in Jalen, stronger than fear, stronger than exhaustion. They had survived betrayal, hacking, and near-death attacks, and yet both human and alien had endured, strengthened, led by each other's presence, and somewhere in the distance, the shadowed figure of the cloaked ship lingered, silent and waiting, a reminder that the galaxy was vast, full of unknown dangers, and that the next challenge would be even greater. Jalen looked at the alien, voice steady, despite exhaustion. "We survive. Together, no matter what comes next." The alien's silver eyes glimmered, almost approving. "Yes, human, but remember, one mistake, and all is lost." And in the silence of the pod, drifting through the endless stars, the bond between human and alien strengthened, tested, and unbroken. They had faced betrayal, fought against impossible odds, and the story of their survival was far from over. The pod drifted silently through the vast expanse of space, the stars stretching infinitely like 1,000 diamonds. Jalen leaned against the console, exhausted but alert. Every muscle in his body ached, and yet his mind was sharper than ever, focused on survival, focused on the unknown ahead. The alien sat beside him, silver eyes glowing faintly, green energy still pulsing from its hands, dripping sizzled lightly on the metal floor. They had escaped the derelict ship, the cloaked mercenary fleet, and countless other dangers. Yet Jalen knew the galaxy was far from safe. Ahead, a faint signal appeared on the pod's sensors, a small distress beacon pulsing softly. It was weak, almost imperceptible, yet Jalen could feel its significance. The alien's eyes narrowed. "That signal. It is not random. Someone needs help, or someone wants to trap us again," it said, voice low and cautious. Jalen exhaled, steadying his racing heart. "We have come this far. We can handle whatever comes next," he said firmly, determination burning bright. The alien regarded him silently for a moment, as if measuring his resolve, then nodded. "Very well. We continue. Together." As they approached the source, the pod's sensors revealed a massive derelict cruiser, far larger than the first ship they had escaped, its hull scarred with battle, drifting silently among the stars, seemingly abandoned. Yet Jalen felt the same tension, the same eerie sense that the ship was alive, watching, waiting. "Stay alert," the alien whispered, voice sharp, dripping energy pulsing in readiness. "This may be a trap, or a test. Either way, we cannot fail." Jalen nodded, fingers brushing over the pod's controls, heart hammering. Every instinct screamed caution, but the human curiosity that had brought him here would not let him turn away. They docked carefully, the pod locking with a faint hiss, and Jalen opened He hatch, stepping into the cruiser with the alien beside him, dripping energy, tracing patterns on the floor, casting eerie shadows. The corridors were wide but silent, and the air was thick with tension. Suddenly, a flicker of movement appeared at the far end, humanoid silhouettes emerging from the shadows. Armed and cautious, Jalen froze, realizing the new threat was alive, yet hesitant, almost curious. Their eyes flicked between him and the alien, unsure how to react to the unusual pairing. The alien stepped forward, hands raised, green energy flaring. "We are not here to fight, unless forced," it said, voice ringing with authority, yet calm. Jalen followed, heart pounding. "We survived together. We are alive. That is what matters," he said firmly, standing tall despite exhaustion. For a long moment, silence reigned, broken only by the hum of the cruiser's systems. Then one of the figures lowered its weapon slowly, nodding toward them. "We recognize your survival. You are stronger than we expected," the voice said, alien but human-like in cadence, cautious yet respectful. Jalen realized they had earned recognition, not through aggression, but through courage, ingenuity, and alliance. HFY, in its purest form, survival was not about domination, but about adaptability, creativity, and the bonds forged under fire. Suddenly, a massive rumble shook the ship, alarms blaring. The cruiser had structural damage, remnants of battle destabilizing its hull. Jalen and the alien exchanged a quick glance, understanding the stakes immediately. They had to escape now, or die trapped inside a collapsing vessel. The alien moved swiftly, fingers tracing the consoles, green energy flowing, stabilizing critical systems temporarily. "Follow me," it shouted, and they ran through twisting corridors, dodging falling panels and sparks, every step a gamble with death. Jalen's ingenuity came alive, rerouting power, clearing debris, coordinating with the alien. Their movements were fluid, a perfect synergy born of necessity, adrenaline, and mutual trust. They reached the cruiser's escape bay, massive pods ready for launch, lights flickering as the system strained under the damage. They jumped into the nearest pod, slamming the hatch shut, Jalen activating the launch sequence while the alien protected the pod from external energy pulses, sparks flying, metal groaning, and with a violent lurch, the pod shot away from the cruiser, narrowly avoiding catastrophic failure. Floating in the void, the pod finally stabilized, both gasping for breath, hearts pounding, exhaustion giving way to relief. Jalen looked at the alien, silver eyes calm, glowing faintly, dripping energy fading. "We survived again," he said softly, a mixture of awe, respect, and gratitude in his voice. The alien nodded, voice low but firm. "Yes. But survival is only the beginning. There are others like us, shadows in the galaxy, waiting. The challenge is far from over." Jalen understood. The adventure was not just about escaping ships, but about navigating a universe full of threats and possibilities. A faint smile crossed his lips, despite fatigue. "Then we face them, together." The alien's eyes glimmered, approval and subtle amusement mixing in silver depths. "Yes, human, together, until the stars themselves are challenged." As the pod drifted among the stars, away from collapsing cruisers and mercenary ships, Jalen realized something profound. Humans and aliens, different species, different strengths, had survived together through courage, ingenuity, and trust. HFY alive in action. Proof that survival was more than instinct, it was spirit. In the distance, a glimmer of light hinted at new worlds, new threats, and new adventures. The pod's path was uncertain, but Jalen and the alien were ready, their bond forged in danger, their story only beginning, and the galaxy awaiting their next challenge. And somewhere in the void, silent, vast, and endless, the stars themselves seemed to acknowledge their survival, a subtle promise that even in the darkest corners of space, courage, creativity, and alliance could shine brighter than any weapon. Jalen leaned back, exhaustion and relief mingling, silver eyes of the alien watching him quietly, dripping energy now calm, and as the pod glided silently among the stars, one thing was certain: they had survived together, and the universe would never forget their story.